Welcome to the channel. We're talking food plots today. So it is 2021 and it is Memorial Weekend, and we had kind of an early spring, and it's been cold this weekend. It froze the other night, but it's been pretty warm for April and early May. It was pretty warm. So I just wanted to show you this. This is the clover that we planted last year. It's looking pretty darn good. This field has literally no weeds in it at all. It's just clover, and they're in here eating. We've had the bears in here eating this stuff. It really looks really good. So we're going to take you over to the other field over here, food plot number 2, and I'm going to talk to you about what I'm planting in there this year. Okay, so let's take a walk over there. Okay, so now you can see here behind me here, this is the other clover that I planted last year, and there's a lot more weeds in this one, or grass, whatever's growing in there, and we're gonna either have to mow it or spray it. Compared to that first one I showed you, this one is doing just as nice, but there's more grass growing in it, because this hasn't been worked up for as many years as that other field. So let's go on to food plot 2 here. So we worked this up yesterday, and I sprayed it. I want to say I sprayed it 2 weeks ago or so, and killed everything that was in here. You can see around the tree over here that where I sprayed, and we sprayed it. There was still a little bit of green, but not too bad. And then I plowed it twice, and that rips up most of the roots and stuff. And now today we're going to seed it. Okay, so there's been some debate, or there is some debate on YouTube and stuff. Should you plant a summer food plot? So besides your clovers that grow all year, you know. So my answer for my property is yes, I plant a summer food plot, because I like to see the deer. I like to see the deer going through the growth, the antler growth, and all of that. I like to see that. I like to see that on my cameras. If I don't plant this food plot, there's really no attraction here for the deer to come into my property and eat. There's nothing here. I mean, there's some browse, but I don't have a lot of browse, and it's stuff we're working on. Each year we cut more trees and try and do a little more habitat thing, but you know, we only have 11 acres, so we're drawing deer off all these other properties, and we're trying to bring them into our property and make them happy here, so that come hunting season they're coming in here to eat and they're happy, you know. It's basically what we're trying to do. So last year, if you watch my 2020 video for food plots, I kind of had a flop. Besides the clover grew really nice, but I had a kind of a flop here. I tried doing sugar beets and some kind of radish. I don't remember what exactly it was. And I don't think it was anything to do with the seed that we bought or who we bought it from. And it just did not grow well out here. Didn't get enough rain. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, because I'm not here all the time. So, you know, I can only just guess, you know. So 2 years ago, if you watch my 2019 deer video, I used Power Plant from Whitetail Institute. And I'm not sponsored by Whitetail Institute or nothing, but I really think that Power Plant is a dynamite attraction food plot. So that's what we're going to try again this year, and we're going to see if there's a difference between this year now and last year, because last year we didn't have much for bucks. 2019 I had 5 bucks at a time standing out here in that Power Plant. Last year I had 1 buck most of the summer. That was it. Okay, so we're going to plant the Power Plant again this year, and we're going to see, you know, what the difference is on my cameras, and are there going to be a lot more deer coming in here just to eat, you know. So we're going to get started on this. We're going to throw down some seed, and you know, it's supposed to rain. It's supposed to start raining tonight and tomorrow, so that'll help get this started, and we'll get it smoothed out and everything today yet, and and we should be well on our way to a nice food plot again this year. And then, you know, come August, we're still gonna do that fall blend again. We did that fall blend last year, and that really turned out nice. And then we overseeded it with the rye grain, like everybody talks about on YouTube. We overseeded it with the rye grain, and that rye grain came up beautiful here in spring. Okay, so that's basically what we sprayed and killed off here before we started to plant this, was that rye grain. And so all right, you know, let's get started. Let's get this done, and I'll show you in a couple weeks what's growing. Okay, so this year Whitetail Institute had a deal going on. If you buy, I think it was 50 pounds of the power plant, they gave you 2 bags. Those are 2-pound bags. That would be 4 pounds total of their Imperial Clover. So I've never used this product before, so I'm going to try this. I worked up about a 10 to 15 foot wide path around the trees, you know, over here. I'll show you in a minute. And that's where I'm going to plant this stuff here at. So let's take a walk over there and look at that that path I plowed. So here's the path I plowed up. Like I say, it's 10 feet, maybe some areas it's over there, it might be more like 15 feet. But this is where we're going to throw down this clover. I'm just trying it out because I've never used this product before. So we're gonna just spread it down, and you can see the seed here. This is really tiny compared to the other stuff I was just spreading. So I have this set now at about a 2 3/4. I think is going to work pretty good. So here we go. I can't even see this stuff coming out, but it is. You can see the blue in the dirt. So that went down kind of light. So I went up to 3.5 now. And yeah, I can definitely, it's really sucking it down now. Yeah, I think my battery just died. So I just used this little Scott's Whiz seeder. This is kind of for grass seed, but it's battery operated, and it throws down this seed pretty nice. It has settings on the front. I'm at a 5 right now for these bigger seeds. You know, if the clover is probably a smaller seed, probably be at a 3 or something, you know, or 2.5 even. And but this works pretty good. Let's go. Nothing fancy here at Amberg Acres. I think I paid $14 for this thing. But this just lays down a nice even seed bed. And I just walk around the field, and once I get all the way around, then I start over again if I still have seed left. 1 bag of seed of this power plant says it covers 3/4 of an acre. I don't have quite 3/4 of an acre here. I'm only doing about a 1/2 an acre. I think I calculated out. So it goes down a little heavier than it should probably. But I've never had an issue growing this stuff. It grows really good. So we got all the seed laid down. Now we're just going to go over it. We're going to pack it in. And if you watch my other videos, we don't have a cultipacker or anything fancy. We just use the 4-wheeler, and we just keep driving over it until it's all packed down nice. And yeah, I know it uses a little gas, but whatever. Cultipackers are the cheapest one I've seen lately on Craigslist or any of the other places is like 800 bucks. So it's not number one on my list for spending money on right now yet. So I think I'd rather have a sprayer first before I would buy a cultipacker. But we'll see, you never know what happens. So basically we're just packing it in so that the seed gets pushed down under the ground a little bit and makes ground contact. And that's it. Now we just wait for rain. All right, I will keep you posted. A couple weeks, we'll see what's growing. Boy, does that clover field look nice. It is June 11th. That is just beautiful. That's what you're looking for. So here's the other clover, the one in food plot 2. Now I mowed this 2 weeks ago. I mowed it right down to nothing. Get rid of all the grass because there was a lot of grass growing in here. And look at that, that's solid clover now. We also fertilized it, so the fertilizer probably kicked in and gave the clover a boost, but there's hardly no grass in it at all, you know. So that's how you take care of your clover plot. If you got a lot of grass, just give it a mowing, and you know, pick a time when the grass is already pretty tall before it goes to seed, and just give it a mowing. And boy, it really makes a difference. I want to show you something. This is one of my white oak trees. It's right next to a chestnut. Now, this tree here is looking beautiful. There's not showing any sign of distress or anything. It's really growing good. Now let's go over and look at this chestnut. This is my biggest chestnut. I took the cage off it last year, and I want to show you something. I don't know what's happening to it, but I got a lot of brown leaves on this sucker, and it should be well past. This is 3-4 years old already. It should be well past any watering issues, I would think. You know, the roots should be sustained now, and it should be well past any not having enough water, seeing everything else is growing around here pretty good. But I have no idea what happened to it. The only thing I could say is that when I was spraying the field, you know, maybe the wind was blowing just right and a Roundup got on it. But it's the top of the tree. The bottom of the tree looks much better. I mean, there's a little brown down there, but it looks a lot better than the top. So, not really sure what's going on there. If anybody knows, you know, leave a comment if you know what's really going on with this tree. You know, if the oak tree doesn't have any brown on it at all, I sprayed the same. It was there when I sprayed the field, you know, too. So why is it only hurting the chestnut? But chestnuts are kind of finicky, so I mean, it could be, never know. And here's the other oak. See, that one don't have any brown on it either. That one's growing really nice. Got some kind of bug that's eating the leaves, but it's growing pretty good. So we'll see. I don't think that's going to die. I think it'll be all right. We'll see what happens to it. Well, the food plot looks actually pretty good. It's up. There's a lot of stuff growing here and not a lot of weeds. So I'm happy with that. We sprayed just before we planted, so that looks pretty good. I mean, I'm real happy. We're gonna pull the chips in the cameras and see what's on the camera. is June 11th. We planted this on Memorial Weekend. All right, everybody, it's 4th of July weekend, and we are out here in the power plant, and I just want to show you something here. I want to show you the difference. Now, if you remember last year, we planted 3 rows. We had the clover, then we had sugar beets, and we had radishes over here, okay? So when I seeded in fall, I only filled in this middle one. I only did this middle one, and I planted that fall blend with the turnips and radishes and whatever was in there, and then I overseeded it with the rye grain, okay? So that rye grain came up in spring, and it really took over this field, you know, and kind of put a mat of green over this entire field. Where over in this one, it was just kind of garbage, right? So now, after spraying it and planting it, and I planted the whole section now with power plant, you can obviously see a difference in the weeds. Okay, so over here, you got a nice, thick, lush power plant field. There is some grass growing in there, I can see it. But then you look over here on this side, and look at the difference. Look at all these ferns, and I mean, the grass is almost taller than the power plant over on this side. So, you know, for what it's worth, it definitely makes a difference planting that rye grain in here. I think, at least from what I've just seen from this year. So, you know, I would think you would at least try it in your food plots. You know, so I was gonna mow the clover. Let's take a better look at this clover over here. So I'm hoping you can see that back there. All right, that's the grass is getting pretty tall in there, and I got some ferns and some other stuff growing in there. So I was gonna mow it, okay, but I broke both my mowers already this weekend, and I probably ain't gonna get them fixed this weekend. So I think I'm just gonna have to leave it go unless I get something else running. I might try the pull behind. I have a old Swisher pull behind. I might try that and pull it behind the four-wheeler. But the four-wheeler always pulls it too fast, and it bogs down and stuff. So it's kind of better with a lawnmower. But like I said, I broke both of them, so I may not get that done this weekend. But I'm gonna try. So what else we got? Not much. I'm waiting to see the camera. I haven't gotten the chips out of the cameras yet, but there was a nice one earlier in spring, back in June, beginning of June. And I'd like to see what he looks like. I'm hoping he's still around here, and I'd like to see what he looks like, you know, see if they're in this this power plant here. So again, you know, come fall, mid-August, I'm gonna reseed this again with that turnips. I'm gonna do the whole thing this time. I'm gonna do this whole section the way I did it last year, and then hopefully I have a better result next year even. So, all right, on to the next project. Hey guys, I'm swapping out my camera because the other camera I had here got full of ants, and it's not working now. So I don't know if it's shot or what, but I saw a thing on Jeff Sturgis's channel. He sprays the area with permethrin. It's what I use on my clothes for ticks. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to get some of that, and I'm going to spray this tree and see if that helps keep the ants off these things. But it's like the second one now that I've had that happen to, where it got full of ants. But anyhow, I had time to get the tractor running. So I got the clover mowed. You wanna, I'll turn the camera here just a little bit. So you wanna mow this, you know, it's just like a farmer mowing their hayfield, you know. And the clover will grow back. It'll grow like crazy now. You know, we got another month or so yet before you get to Labor Day weekend. Oh geez, we got 2 months to Labor Day weekend yet. So, I mean, this has plenty of time to grow back before hunting season. And it cuts off all the grass and all these weeds, these ferns and stuff I have growing here. So it cuts all of them off, and they won't grow back now because we're already into July. So it's the hot season up here, you know, in northern Wisconsin. So that those ferns and stuff aren't going to grow back anymore. So this should be a nice couple of weeks. This should be a nice clover field again for the deer. And you need to do that. I mean, there's no other way to get rid of all those weeds except for mowing it. So we got that done. We had a good 4th of July weekend. We went downtown and watched a band, Fire on High or something like that they were called, out of Green Bay. Very good band. Not last night, yeah, whatever, on the 2nd, on Friday. Yeah, so we had a good time there. You know, here's a little clip of the band.
Ruby red, I'm sipping on. There's a hole in the bottle, leaking all this wine. It's already empty and ain't even supper time. No, I don't miss.
And then there's one other thing I'd like to share with you. I don't know if you guys follow the Wisconsin DNR or not. I don't really follow them, so to speak, but I get their emails and their text messages and whatever. So I got one a week or two ago here, and it was a study about deer movement. And they supposedly went and put collars on deer in the CWD areas, which is more middle of the state from where we're at. But anyhow, it was kind of an interesting article, so I'd like to share that with you here. My thoughts on it here on the computer. So let's take a look at that once. Okay, so this is the article from the Wisconsin DNR. So in this article, they explain that they tagged a whole bunch of deer in the CWD areas of Wisconsin. The idea behind it was they were going to track their progress, track where they're going. So this is just one deer out of whatever number they tagged. I don't remember if it said how many deer they actually collared or tagged in this article, but so this is just one deer. They listed it as potentially a 4-year-old deer. So I'm picturing it that it's, you know, the same deer that I had on the food plot last year around September before he disappeared, because I figured that one was about a 4-year-old deer. Basically, they have circles and stars on this picture here. The stars are nighttime movement, the circles are daytime movement. So if you look at the circles, I mean, during the day he barely ever goes into the field at all. This is September, the month of September. What they're showing you here is that he never left his core area the whole month of September. He never left this area. He just stuck to this one area, this one field. And the information they don't have is they don't have what's in this field, why he's there. They don't really have that information. This is just basically a movement article right now on his movement over a couple month period. You know, looking at these dots on here, that makes sense. You know, that's about what I saw that that buck last year was, you know, in the field at nights, and during the day you very rarely got a picture of him. So this is makes sense. Now they're saying this is a 100 acre parcel, or about 100 acres that he is traveling on. Okay, for his, I guess they're assuming that this is the summer home for this deer. So he's sticking around on a 100 acre. So 100 acres, I'm hunting on 11 acres. So 100 acres, I mean, he's still moving quite a bit during the summer, but he's a regular in my food plots. Okay, so as the article progresses, you know, they show you here that these are the daytime movements. You know how he's congregated to one area during the day. He doesn't come out in the field at night and all of that. So they go through all of that. So now you jump to November, okay? So now remember, if you go up here, see this shape right here? So now you come down here, there's that shape right there. In November, he left this area. I mean, I shouldn't say he left it, but he wasn't up here as much as he was down here, okay? So the same thing, daytime movements, nighttime movements, you know. So he's out in the field a little more, it looks like, possibly. And then they go and they even break it down to the first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks. So if you look at the first 2 weeks, okay, he's still up here in his home range a little bit of the time, okay, but he seems to have congregated over here towards this field. Now the data does not show what's the reason for that. Did the food change? Are the does all over here? Why are the does over here? We don't have that information. It's just showing his pattern through September through November or December. I think they add December at the end here. So now what they're saying is that this is a 600 acre parcel that he's traveling on. He's covering 600 acres. You know, last year when this deer disappeared, or actually this spring, I went around to some of the neighbors by me and asked them if anybody shot this deer, you know, and nobody shot it. But now you look at this data, if he's traveling 600 acres, okay, he's going halfway to Squirrely Acres and back, you know, from where I'm at. So the fact that I'm not seeing him, you know, after September, I mean, this makes sense if this is what's happening. I mean, he's nowhere near my property. So let's shoot down to the second 2 weeks. Now you can see in the second 2 weeks, he's pretty much left this area up here altogether. And he's way down here at the bottom of this 600 acres. And again, you don't know why. Is there different food down here? Are the does down here congregating down here? You don't know. You don't have those answers. It's just showing his movement. Take this article for what it is. You know, there's not a lot of information here except for tracking movements, and you know, but it explains where the deer go. They're not that far away, but in a sense, if you only have 50 acres, 40 acres, yeah, they're quite a ways away. They're 2 properties away from you, or 3 properties away from you. No, not that many people own 600 acres, so it explains why the deer disappear. It doesn't really explain why you don't have somebody else's bucks from their property coming onto your property. But that does explain why, you know, November I always see, you know, at least get 1 or 2 deer on a camera that just show up there for a day, and then they're gone. You never see them again. So they're traveling. You know, they're moving somewhere else to find does or whatever they're looking for. So that hope this kind of explains what happens to the deer each year, why you're not seeing deer on your property. It would be nice to have the answers to some of these questions, why they congregate, why they moved and congregated to a different area. What's there that's not on your property here? You know, what happened? Why did the does leave, or why, you know? I mean, because on our property, you know, if I go out there, say end of October, you know, September, beginning of October, I have those does, the same does in my field every night. You know, they're out there every night. And all of a sudden you get to that end of October, right when the rut is starting, and they're not there either. You know, I might see one doe or one of the fawns come out in the field, and the bigger does are not around. They're moving for some reason, and that I still don't have the answers to. This shows you how much they are moving. Okay, so now they jump back to December. Okay, so now you can see he has moved back to his home area, to his home range. All right, so if he obviously made it through the hunting season, and he has come back to this area. And why he come back to this area, they don't know that either. I mean, they don't have that in their study. It's just a movement study. You know, is there something special out here in this field now that he's eating? You know, then that's why he moved back up there. We don't know that. But I thought it was an interesting article. I'll put the link in the description below, and you know, look it up and read it and see what you think about it. And hopefully, you know, if they're really doing a good study, they'll add some more data to this at some point. Maybe, you know, it's the DNR. I don't know. You don't know what they're up to or what they're trying to prove here. But I found it to be very interesting how much this deer moved in those couple of months there. It explains where my deer go, but it doesn't explain why somebody else's deer don't come to my area, you know. So I hope you enjoy reading this, and you know, take it for what it's worth. So that's about it for this video. We'll be back in I don't know, second week of August or so to plant this other part here again. We'll spray all this off here that's growing the power plant, because that doesn't last. Once it gets cold, that stuff does not. It just dies right off. So we're going to spray that in August there, and then we'll plant the turnips and the radishes like we did last year, and we should have a nice green food plot here come October. You know, if you like these videos, you know, subscribe to my channel and keep watching. See you next time.